this board here, it might look pretty solid and steady now, but actually on a very subtle level it's dying, it's decomposing. Because if we disappeared, if we just took a break, I turn this camera off for 5,000 years and turned it back on, and then we had another look at the board, it's not going to look like this. Even if nobody touched it and nobody did anything to it, it will just change. And everything is changing on that level. So in the world of form, nothing is solid, nothing is absolute. And yet the egoic mind wants you to believe that everything is. That's because your egoic mind exists in the world of form. And that's why you can never truly comprehend what exists outside of it on the level of human thinking egoic brain. And that's how you know you are not your mind. Because thoughts, you can observe your thoughts. People say, oh, I was just kind of talking to myself in my head. I have thoughts running around. Well, if you can talk to yourself, then that implies that you instantly are not your thoughts. You are not your brain, because that can be observed. So if you, that is to say the real you, the I, can observe the thoughts in form, then instantly this is the real you. And it's amazing, and this is the consciousness that observes everything. The observer is what it is. And if we go back to what I was saying about atoms, where people realize that everything is made of atoms, and yet atoms are 99.999% empty, then shit. How is this staying together? Because on an atomic level, if I put my hand here and not atomic, but maybe like quantum level, if I look on a tiny level, like at the cells of this and the cells of my hand, there is no difference. You can't see where the hand begins and the board ends. And yet, there is definitely a hand on the board, and it cannot go through the board. So, what is it? What's keeping all this together? Consciousness. I. You are absolutely, as one, inseparable from everything around you. And if that's not divine, and if that is not an explanation of God, then I don't know what is. And if it's true, then you are God, and so am I. And so all this, the idea from what's happened with religions, where people have kind of convinced themselves that God is some external agent who is creating things and watching you and punishing you, and you can anger it and please it and everything. It's only come from the egoic mind. I'm convinced that if Jesus, Muhammad and even Buddha looked at some of what's happening to their teachings now, I don't think, well, they wouldn't be unhappy because they're enlightened, but they certainly wouldn't agree, you know? And the truth is, we are the divine. And, there are ways of practices as such in which you can experience it, because we're talking about it intellectually here. But I'm not even going to attempt to teach you like a meditation technique or anything like that. I know how I access it. All I'll say to you is, I give you names of teachers. I mean, you only have to type it in to the search thing on YouTube, and you'll find it. If you're watching this on YouTube, I've got a list in the column, which should be on this side, of the names of spiritual teachers who can show you truth. And that's about it, It's like a signpost. You can only point the way. Even Eckhart Tolle or Alan Watts or Krishnamurti or the enlightened teachers. They can only show you the way. But ultimately it's the realization of this, that is to say, when your essence, when your being merges with the physical form of you, that, when this becomes one, when emptiness is form and form is emptiness, to quote the Buddha, at that point, that is enlightenment.